Today, the Habs had their red versus white scrimmage at their development camp. We'll be breaking down the lineups and all of the takeaways we had, because some defenders were awesome, some forwards not so much, but we're going to break everything down for you on this edition of Habs Digest. Let's talk about the lineups first, Jesse, because this was an exciting time, right? This time of year comes around, you see some fresh draft picks, some draft picks from years past, all coming together at the development camp to pit their skills against each other to prove, or at least to show to coaching and management who truly deserves a spot, whether it's in Laval or with the Montreal Canadiens maybe next season. Let's start by taking a look at the rosters for the games today. And I thought we had some interesting stuff, Jesse. The first thing everyone's going to look at is on Team White, Équipe des Blancs, Lane Hutson, David Reinbacher, the top pairing on defense. Not just a practice thing, something they're clearly looking at for the long term, but also a kind of fun thing, the all QMJHL forward line on Team Red with Simoneau, Kidney, and Roy. Jesse, just, before we actually break down what we thought of this game, I mean, like, how exciting is it, this time of year, seeing all these prospects face off against each other, and you gotta say, these expectations are so high.
It's true, and what it's kind of reminded me of is that we have so much depth in this organization. Of late with drafting Reinbacher, we've started to project what our future defense core is going to kind of look like, and what I'm realizing, what we're all forgetting in all of this is Adam Engstrom, because I feel like he's a sleeper in all of this. Like, I feel like he has a very high likelihood of making his way into the top four with the Canadiens in the future on our D pairings.
Yeah, we're going to get into him in a second. But again, second pairing today behind William Trudeau. Of course, Trudeau finished the year as the #1 defender in Laval, but Engstrom definitely made a case. So without further ado, let's get into this. We're going to be talking about the defenders first because, quite honestly, Jesse, I know when we watched a lot of these highlights and a lot of the game, and I'm sure a lot of you people watching, it was very clear. The main theme was that the Habs defense prospects just completely outshined the forward prospects, and it wasn't even really close. We had guys like Lane Hutson, David Reinbacher, William Trudeau, Adam Engstrom, Logan Mailloux, all showing their skill. But Jesse, I know we're going to get to Adam Engstrom in a bit, but the guy that everyone wants to talk about, the guy that's in the thumbnail, the one we're all discussing right now is Lane Hutson. To me, he looked like the best player on the ice, and it wasn't even close. He is dominating a lot of guys who are trying to vie for NHL spots coming next season. We saw him do it at the college level, saw him dominate everyone, but now to see him have shifts where he's controlling the puck for 30 seconds, making amazing passes, just skating wherever he wants at a fast pace, like, I don't know, Jesse. I didn't think I could get more excited, but I think I am.
I think this is some of the best hockey that we've seen from Lane Hutson. The fact that he's really rising to the occasion, right? Because that was the big question. He had all the skill in the world, but people are kind of doubting the size a little bit, being a defenseman. But what he's showing right now is when it matters the most against a lot of prospects, like you mentioned, Josh, that are older than him, is he is absolutely ready. He's absolutely a phenom out there on the ice, just creating chances left, right, and center. And it seems like him and David Reinbacher, it seems like they just have this telepathy on the ice already. They just know where each other is going to be. They're really feeding off each other so well. So it's amazing to just see a lot of this natural chemistry coming between these young two stars.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And just earlier today, or maybe it was last night, David Reinbacher, when asked about Lane Hutson, basically said, he said, quote, I don't know if it's too high praise, but I think he'll probably be the next Cale Makar. And that's from his probable future D-line mate, David Reinbacher. So, just watching Hutson go, Reinbacher also said, you give him the puck, you let him do his work. Now, some people were saying, yeah, they wish Lane Hutson passed to his D partner a little bit more, trusted him more. Who cares? Lane Hutson is out there dominating guys who are like NHL level players, and you let him do that, right? I think everyone is super excited about him, but we can't spend our whole time talking about Lane Hutson, Jesse. We got to talk about some other guys, and the #1 guy other than him we're going to get into now is David Reinbacher, soon followed after by Adam Engstrom. But Reinbacher himself, Jesse, while not flashy today, I thought played a very, very solid game. Definitely need a bit of time to get used to the North American ice, but I really loved what I saw from him.
And I think that he's really become a fan favorite in no time. Like, we've really turned things around. I think a lot of fans knew we needed that positivity, and he's shown a lot of skill as well, just making really smart plays, and that's what makes him such a nice compliment to Lane Hutson, right? Is you let Hutson be creative with the puck, but you need Reinbacher to really kind of hold it down. But in his own right, David Reinbacher has a ton of skill, and as we see some of the clips from the shootouts that they had after the game, going wide, to start it off, But, like he almost tucks it in here, almost looking like Suzuki going to that backhand, right? That one hand backhand to kind of tuck it in there. So he was really close. Like, to be honest, I was really impressed to see the hands that he has with that sort of size. Like, I'm not expecting that from a defenseman at all. I think some of our best forwards, we're defensemen in this game here in Hutson. Reinbacher showing a lot of skill as well, though. So, I mean, this is exactly what we want to be seeing after drafting him so high.
Yeah, for sure. Reinbacher, too, making it known that he knows how to get to the right spots on offense. There was one play where, well, consistently, he was cutting towards the net lots of times, and Hutson hit him on a beautiful pass at one point. Jacob Fowler had to make a really nice save to stop the Hutson-Reinbacher connection. And speaking of offensive players, Logan Mailloux showing he basically played like a forward today in a defender's body, but he made a few turnovers, but he really wants to jump into play. But before we move on to the actual forwards, the other defense we want to talk about is Adam Engstrom. And to me, Jesse, other than Hutson, he was the Habs' best defender today. He was their best defenseman. He made the most solid plays. His passing was amazing. Had an assist or two today with some bullet cross-ice passes. Clearing his own zone was elite. He looked like a veteran toying with young players on the ice there today, Jesse. I don't know about you, but I was thoroughly impressed.
And one of the things that impressed me the most was just his quickness. I wasn't really expecting that, but he looked like he had a jump in his step on the ice, but also just his awareness, right? His ability, like you said, Josh, to make these cross-ice, pinpoint laser passes, like heavy passes, that are, putting the receiver in a good chance to bury it in front of the net because you're just catching the defense off guard. But, we saw in one sequence, right? He makes a beautiful feed. Then they're kind of maintaining position. Trudeau, who's also a prospect to keep an eye on, then dishes it back to Engstrom. And he does such a good job of fixing the D with a fake slapper. And then again, just another pinpoint pass to Smith for one of the few goals in our scrimmages today. So I was really impressed. Of course, we're not seeing them as much. Those European prospects, we don't get as much film on them as some of our other guys, but he's really reminding me that this is a guy to really keep an eye out on.
Yeah, for sure. It was awesome to see the defenseman at work today, and it's leaving us pretty excited. As for the forwards, look, there were definitely some bright spots, and let's start with the positives, Jesse. The one forward that I think we both realized was like, nah, this guy is an NHLer. That's Joshua Roy. And we kind of figured that, right? He's kind of the do-it-all guy. Again, his speed and his skating has been his weakness in the past, but he's very much improved on that. But he just looked like he was a solid, big body out there, making the right plays, getting to the right spots I don't even think I noticed him make a single mistake. It just felt like, again, you almost get a veteran presence off some guys, right? You can tell when a guy's been in the NHL for a long time, and Joshua Roy almost emanates that kind of energy when he's out there. So to me, I think he's, out of the forwards that played today, he has one of the highest shots at making the roster quite soon.
He does, and he was one of our few forwards to score on the shootout. And like you said, Josh, like one of the biggest takeaways for me is like his size. Like he's bigger than actually what I thought, but that skill as well. But I think that number one thing, because like you said, his mobility is probably the biggest limit in his game, but I feel like he counteracts this very well by just his hockey IQ. He's just a very smart young man, a very smart hockey player. And I think he really shows that so well when he's going out on that shootout. He's really reading the goalie so well. You can tell his options. You could tell he could probably score about 6 different ways there. But just his ability to be able to analyze the goaltender, see where those openings are. Yeah, just that sense for the game and just that tenacity, I think is a type of player that you really need to have success, in the playoffs. I think that Joshua Roy, his skill set is going to project very nicely to the NHL.
I think so too. Now, speaking of other guys who I think played very solid and might project to the NHL, it's Owen Beck. Now, he really wasn't flashy offensively, nothing too spectacular, but he was winning faceoffs, playing really good defensively. Jesse, I also wanted to get your opinion on some other guys, and there were some people that I saw a lot of people complaining about, and one is Riley Kidney. Not so much complaints, just more so that they really didn't notice him at all after his fantastic season in the QMJHL. He just felt kind of invisible out there. But another guy that people had really high hopes for and were hoping would break through is Philip Machar, and while he did score today, I saw some people kind of unimpressed with him. What were your thoughts on Philip Machar's performance today, Jesse? Because it seems to be a little one way, a little the other.
Yeah, well, we see lots of flashes of skill from him, and I mean, he did show that in the scrimmage game at some points. He made a really nice interception in the neutral zone, then basically just taking it right down that right wing going to the slot, and then a beautiful snipe. So
Yeah.
we know he has a great shot, but also some great hands as well. What I like from Philippe Machard was he was showing a little bit of creativity in the shootout, which I think is important, right? When you're there, you're at a development camp. If you're touted as an offensively skilled player, you got to show that. You got to show what you're capable of. And he didn't just go between the legs. Sorry about that. He didn't just go between his legs. He actually went behind his legs. Yeah. And I really feel like he's got some great potential. And I feel like just having those right line mates, obviously, he showed a little bit of chemistry with Slafkovsky last year. Now, I don't know if we'll see them in the same line in the future with the Canadiens, but you got to feel like they would probably have a lot of skill, and he's definitely going to be somebody that I'm going to be keeping.
Yeah, for sure. Philippe Machard looks like he'll end up being at least an AHL level guy. I hope he can crack the NHL roster if he puts in that work like Slav has been doing. But there's flashes of skill. The effort can maybe be a bit higher, but regardless, I'm still excited about him. As for the goalies, not too much to talk about. Dobeš looked solid. Fowler made a couple nice saves, but nothing too spectacular to mention to you guys. Overall, I think the message of today was that the defenders outshine the forwards at pretty much every aspect of hockey. The defenders were better offensively and defensively than the forwards, so definitely something interesting to keep watch of in the future, but man, today was a lot of fun. That'll do it for this news edition of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 7,000 subscribers. If you guys could hit the button, it would be really appreciated. I'm Josh Gosse for my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.